I've been learning about like stonemasonry, especially like ancient stonemasonry, and that's been like way more interesting than concrete. And I've been getting distracted every time I try to research. I just end up like researching about Peruvian ruins and stuff like that, or like Roman like methodologies and things. And I'm like, oh, this is like way more. Like I'm like just diving into that. I'm like, yeah, this has nothing to do with concrete, but I'm just like looking at ancient chiseling techniques and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is.
Going back to what you said about the pyramids, I just find it crazy how just everywhere on like every continent, just there's some type of pyramid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't want to get into aliens, but you know, it's aliens.
Gosh, I've been watching The Perfect Counter for, and it's amazing. Like just learning about how they actually carve granite. So copper, easy to spot, shiny things. You pull it out of the ground. You've got copper, you melt it down. You can make it into a tube. Attach that tube to a stick. And then you just spin it, add a slurry of like just clay and stuff like that, and it's just automatically hard. Like they've got a corundum. It's like the hardest bit of sandpaper you can get, and it's easy to find. You could just dig it up. There's like the two earliest mines that people find are corundum mines and copper mines, because you mix that stuff in, it can cut through granite. It's like the hardest material you can get next to diamond. And so you just, and it doesn't even have to be like a rock or something. It's like early sandpaper. It's a slurry. Mm-hmm. And so you just put a little clay circle around it. You fill it up with this like corundite slurry, and you take a copper tube with a pole, and you just spin it, and it's got a big rock on top of it. And you just spin that thing, and it makes a perfect hole, like a drill cut.
Nice.
And it's just like, I've just seen like these two archaeologists just sit there and like taking turns, just drilling a perfect hole into a granite slab.
That's pretty cool.
And it's just like, oh, and then they're showing how you can use that to like mount things to it, to carry it and do all these things. When they're like, there's no way that anyone could ever precisely drill a hole this accurate without like, it was like, the answer is it took time.
Yeah.
It took a lot of people and a lot of time. And like we build things nowadays, where like we built the tallest building in the world in 4 years. Well, like before, like even like looking at like the, like, like some of these old palaces from like 200 years ago. It would take 40 years to build these palaces. And we'd be embarrassed of a project. You know, you order a house and it's like, all right, a $2 million house. It's going to take about 40 years and we'll get it done. You're like, no, I want it done next year.
Yeah.
And it's like, and these old structures, they have evidence of them taking generations to build.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, like we're like, if no one could possibly ever chisel it. It would take like a year to get through it. It's like, it did.
It did. It
did. It took 50 people a year to do it, but they did it, and it's insane.
Yeah, because some
quality.
Some pharaohs and stuff, like when they were building their pyramids, it's like, okay, yeah, I may not finish this. They found evidence that they were like, yeah, they probably started it but didn't finish it,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just like, okay, they kind of retroactively like put the pharaoh in afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
which was just like, oh yeah, that's something. Like he came in his rule and he probably just started this and he's like, okay, should be done by the time I'm done. And he's like, evidently not.